The bitter cold wind howled through the desolate streets, carrying with it the sting of winter's early bite. A lone car sat abandoned at the edge of the road, its engine silent and its headlights flickering weakly as if fighting to stay alive. Inside, a family of 4 huddled together, wrapped in blankets, but still shivering from the cold. It was Thanksgiving Day, the one holiday meant for togetherness, warmth, and food, yet here they were, stranded and helpless in the middle of nowhere, miles away from their destination. The journey had started with excitement. The family, Mark, Sarah, their 2 children, Emma and Ethan, had been looking forward to a big holiday dinner at Sarah's mother's house. It had been a long drive, and they were eager to arrive, but now the car was broken down, leaving them stuck with no way forward. Their phones had no signal, and there wasn't a tow truck in sight. The occasional car passed by, but none stopped. They could hear the distant sounds of laughter and music from other families celebrating, a stark contrast to their own growing frustration. Minutes turned into hours, and hope seemed to fade with each passing moment. Just as they were about to give up, the sound of an approaching vehicle broke the silence. A truck appeared in the distance, its headlights cutting through the dark. The truck pulled over beside them, and the driver, a man in a weathered baseball cap and a grease-stained shirt, stepped out. His name was Jack, and he was a mechanic who had just finished his shift at a local auto shop. Despite his own plans to enjoy the evening with his family, Jack couldn't turn a blind eye to their situation. "Need some help?" Jack asked, his voice steady and reassuring, as though he had dealt with this kind of thing countless times before. Mark, exhausted and anxious, nodded. "We're trying to get to my mother-in-law's house for dinner. It's Thanksgiving, but I think the engine just gave out on us." Jack didn't hesitate. "Let's take a look," he said, moving toward the car with a sense of purpose. As Jack worked under the hood, the family sat nearby, watching him in silence. Sarah, feeling a mix of gratitude and disbelief, finally spoke up. "You really don't have to do this. It's a holiday," she said. Jack glanced up briefly, his hands still busy with the engine. "I know what it's like to be away from family," he replied quietly. "But sometimes the people who need you most are the ones right in front of you." Sarah was touched by his words, but Mark couldn't help but wonder why Jack was going to such lengths to help strangers on a day when he should have been with his own loved ones. As Jack continued to work, hours seemed to blur into one another. Despite his own plan slipping further away, Jack remained focused, determined to get them back on the road. Finally, with a satisfied grunt, Jack slammed the hood shut. "There you go. You should be good to go now." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as she thanked him. "You have no idea how much this means to us." "Thank you." Jack shrugged modestly. "It's nothing. Just pay it forward sometime." With that, the family climbed back into their car, the engine now humming to life. As they drove away, Sarah turned to her husband, still processing the unexpected kindness they had just experienced. "I can't believe he gave up his Thanksgiving for us," she said in disbelief. Mark nodded, but a feeling lingered in his chest. There was something about Jack that didn't quite add up. He couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this man than met the eye. A few days later, Sarah and Mark decided to do something to show their appreciation. They called the auto shop where Jack worked, hoping to bring him a gift or make a donation. The manager's response was unexpected. Jack, the manager said, sounding surprised. You wouldn't believe who he really is. Confused, Sarah pressed on. What do you mean? The manager hesitated before explaining. Jack isn't just a mechanic. He's the CEO of a massive charity foundation that helps families in need. He's been running it for years, funding scholarships, food drives, and Thanksgiving dinners for people who can't afford them. He doesn't want any recognition. He just wants to help. Sarah and Mark were stunned. The man they had met, covered in grease, sacrificing his own holiday, wasn't just an ordinary mechanic. He was a silent benefactor, a person whose life was dedicated to making a difference without any expectation of praise or recognition. Determined to thank him properly, Sarah and Mark decided to visit the charity's headquarters. When they arrived, they were greeted by Jack, who smiled modestly at their surprise. I don't do this for recognition, he said. I do it because I believe kindness is something we can all afford to share, no matter our circumstances. As they spoke with him, Sarah and Mark realized that the real gift Jack had given them wasn't just the car repair. It was a profound lesson about life, about generosity, and about perspective. They learned that kindness could come from the most unexpected places, and that it's never about what you have, but how you choose to share it with others. From that day on, Sarah and Mark never missed an opportunity to pay it forward. They understood now that sometimes the best way to give thanks was not just by saying it, but by offering kindness to others, no matter the time, the place, or the season. Jack's selfless act of generosity had left an indelible mark on their hearts, and it became a reminder that even in the most challenging moments, there are always people who will step in and make a difference when you least expect it.